I had to. I had to. I absolutely had to. I really do try to stay away from political conversations. Um, there's a side of me that y'all don't know because I can go there. But my mama said something to me this morning, and I got triggered in my soul. I got triggered in my whole soul. She got triggered in her whole soul. And we decided to look it up because we just knew it was a lie. You know how they be posting stuff on the Facebook and the internets, and you just know it's not true. How dare it? And so I am um from Oklahoma. Like that's one of the states I really claim. Like I really, really claim. Like I basically graduated high school in Oklahoma. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I have my master's from Oklahoma. So when this thing came creeping past the scroll line, I was like, you lying. This don't make no sense. That the Oklahoma state legislature just passed a law stating that teachers with high school credits, no, I take that back, persons with high school credits can now teach, and that it is not necessary for educators to hold college courses. Let's even put that there. College courses. I know this was a whole piece of a lie, a whole piece of a lie. And so I'm here because I am livid, and I'm about to share my screen because I was like, I just know this ain't true. So I'm going to go ahead and discover this with you so you can have this live reaction action because I'm telling you, the heat is still going to be hot. So I'm just on a regular Google. Oklahoma law loosening teacher requirements. Bam. OKCFox.com fact check. Hold up, wait a minute. Now we go to K4. New Oklahoma law allows adjunct teachers to be full time, and that's a cute little word. Hold up, we're gonna go through this. State law loosening requirements for teachers come under fire. Yes. What? So all of this is all the way true. In fact, the one that I read, which is Enid, did not go in. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit this K4 that came up. No, I'm gonna hit this normantranscript.com. K4 is a news channel. Oklahoma City, in response to Oklahoma's continued teacher shortage, lawmakers passed a measure that no longer requires educators to have a college degree in order to permanently teach in public schools. All a prospective educator now needs is a high school diploma and quotation distinguished qualifications in their field to make them eligible to teach full time in K through 12 classrooms. And these people do not have to work towards a teaching certificate nor take college classes, and legislators gave local districts latitude to determine what meets the distinguished qualifications threshold. Now, supporters claim the law will make it easier for doctors who have a degree, lawyers who have a degree, and other trained professionals who mostly have degrees to enter the teacher pipeline. But those critics say those are not the people applying to teach. Why would they? Because we're going to break this thing on down. Public School Watchdog says they're hearing of superintendents and school boards so desperate that they are hiring people with high school diplomas. Now we're going to keep on going. Da, 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 da. Brian Duke, interim dean at the University of Central Oklahoma's College of Education, said while the so called adjunct teachers have previously been permitted until this year, lawmakers limited how long they could be in a classroom. He said lawmakers promised the changes would draw highly trained professionals. No, they're not. No, it's not. But based on conversations with district leaders, he said that is not what we're seeing. No, it's not. We'll just say I'm not aware of those qualifications, and I certainly doubt, but most folks have those qualifications in Oklahoma. Okay. Now, they've already hired 370 adjunct teachers for full time positions. The new law took place in July 1st. I'm about to hit some other stuff real quick. Hold on, hold on. Wait a minute. This is it. He said Oklahoma has a teacher shortage, and legislators must do everything they can to give districts as many options as possible to create the best learning environment for children, but pay them. But pay them. Let me just stop this for a second. How do I stop this screen? Stop screen. Can let I taught in Oklahoma. I can pull up the next thing. Let me tell you what happened to me. I taught in Oklahoma like in 2008 to 2010. Oklahoma City. In Oklahoma City, I had like 7 years teaching experience and a master's degree, and I was making 34,000. I was making 34,000 with 7 years teachers make in Oklahoma. And the problem is that, mind you, Oklahoma City is a 2 hour drive from Dallas. It's a 2 hour drive from Dallas. And there's so many teachers who have left that northern, not northern, that southern region of Oklahoma and simply went to Texas, where your starting salary was at like 48 at that time to 54. Dude, you are not doing everything it takes, because everything it takes is caring about your child and making sure that the best. And yeah, I said it, because here's the other piece. Let me go ahead. Number one, let's break this down. You're telling me that I went to school and pulled out school loans and currently paying on school loans, that you have just turned around and made a career equivalent to getting a high school diploma? So you have all these teachers with certifications, because in order to do anything, not only do you have to have the degree, not only do you have to pass the teaching test, you have to stay certified, and you have to continually take courses, gifted and talented courses, professional development, all of these other things that we have to constantly take, pay, or have the district pay for, so we can stay up to date on our credentials. And now you're doing it, and you're not even asking for the people to go into a teaching alternative certification program, which are actually out there, because I did not go to school to get my teaching certificate. I went to school at broadcast journalism major. I went into alternative certification. So you're telling me that because I chose to get a college education, a degree puts you already into the position where you can become a teacher. Yes, you might have to turn around and take an extra course, which usually is like a year, maybe more, depending on what it is. But a couple of extra courses: learn classroom management, learn pedagogy, learn theory, learn schools, whatever, budgets, learn all this other stuff and mess. But now you're turning around and creating an equivalent of what I do to what somebody out of high school does. And you're not even making them train or learn or anything else. Baby, let's go here. Let's go here. You're not even like, that's one thing. One thing is, okay, we need to train up a new set of teachers. So we have these people who have worked as teachers aid, who have worked in the school system, and we're going to put them on a speed track system that lets them get their college degree or certificate to teach within 3 years. That is totally different than, we ain't going to ask them to do nothing, and this is a need and a priority because we are having a teacher shortage. You're having a teacher shortage because you're trifling. You're having a teacher shortage because you are absolutely 100% trifling. And let me go ahead and just say it. And all my friends from Oklahoma are going to call me and do whatever. I know people in Oklahoma who are well qualified teachers who don't leave because it's the state of Oklahoma, because it is a homegrown, family oriented place. So people turn around and create lifestyles that are in these school systems. So you have taken that for granted, and you have never actively recruited for our kiddos to be better, do better, and understand better, because you're telling me that once again. And I have nothing against anybody's pathway in life, but the whole purpose of trying to do something for education or whatever is to be able to give your child the best tools necessary in order to achieve. And Oklahoma has been scoring low on that list for a long time. And now you're going to turn around and pull this stunt right here, and you're going to have people who are teachers slapped in the face like I constantly am paying a school loan, and you're going to bring in somebody who used to work at the Walmart to stand next to me and teach these same children and hold us both to the same state testing standards and procedures and everything. Let me just go ahead and go this. Let me just go. Man, let me just go. Y'all got me going, and I'm serious. I'm about to hit everybody here, because let me explain this one thing with Oklahoma. OKLAHOMA. Let me get back to the shared screen, because we've done everything we can in order to turn around and take care of our children. I'm going to go ahead, because let me be honest with you. This I can talk on this. This is where I have my master's from. This is where I did work from. Let me show you the screen real quick. How much does a teacher make in Oklahoma? Average teacher salary for a teacher is $12 per hour. Period. Okay. How much do teachers start making out in Oklahoma? They started at entry level, and this is higher than what it was 39,000. So that means that's probably in the city and in Tulsa. But the range typically falls between 33,000, because that is where I kind of grew up, the Coils, your little country towns and everything else, your Ardmores, all that, to and 48. Okay. So public school, the average public school teacher salary is $52,000. And then look, here we go by district. Look at all these. Look at all of these. Ada, and I know all these. I used to play all of these places. Lord help, I know all of this. Look at this. Starting salary. Look at this starting salaries, you guys. $30,000. $30,000 for starting salaries. $30,000. Now, let's go ahead and get into one more time so I can sit here and spit the truth that I want to spit. Now, Oklahoma has I need to stop sharing. Oklahoma has a lottery system. I learned about this. Oh my gosh, they're one of the first people that passed. Like you can play the lottery and the money goes to Oklahoma schools. They have the little commercials with the little school bus in and everything. When I tell you, okay, so when I took my course, it was 2008. So numbers may have changed. But back in 2008, and I have to remember this number, it was like out of the money that was made out of the lottery, 60%, 60 to 70% went to colleges. It went to the colleges. It went to OSU, OCU. It went to OU. It went to the colleges. It did not go to the elementary schools. It did not go to any of those things. It went to the colleges. Wait a minute. What? But we're doing everything we need that's necessary for our kids to go. Let me get into these comments real quick because no, I'm not. This is absolutely bogus. Number one, it's an absolute slap in the face for anybody who has put in their hard earned heart into teaching because we follow every single hoop and hurdle you have done. And you have told us we're doing this for the love of kids and we do it for the love of kids. But now it's a whole different thing because we went to school, we went to education, we did all of this stuff so we can teach our kiddos to be better than us. We put this also, we can have education into our kiddos so they can turn around and be able to reach and access these tools. And you're going to tell me that my next colleague, the next person I mentor hasn't even learned pedagogy, and y'all don't even understand them tests. Them tests are so hard to take. Like, I don't even know if anybody else has study material that they give you to study and then you turn around and test on something else. And Oklahoma's test, I remember those. Oh my gosh, where you had to write 2 essays, you had to have like 50 questions of work. This is just the general I remember. And you had to write 2 essays, 2 full-blown essays on topics all under 4 hours, and you have to be certified in every single area, and you're not even having to do that. You're turning around and telling me once again, a person who went to not college, don't even, not that they even applied to college, at least they have college courses. Oh, if you have 30 hours or more, you can't even be in a sub in some places if you don't have a certain level or number of college credits. But a person who hasn't even gone to college, so they haven't even had the tenacity, passion, or the resources or the pathway to know, because that's another thing when it comes to teaching our kids. You have to have people who know how to understand and navigate that pathway. I had a student who authentically was trying to go to college, and he ended up not being able to go to college. He ended up having to sit out a year, and he had to go then join the army. And the reason why he could not go to college is because his mother did not sign the FAFSA form. We had everything set for him. He was not having to pay. His mother, he didn't have to pay. He had a scholarship, but his mother did not pay, sign the FAFSA form. And for everybody who's applying for college, you have to have the FAFSA form done. So he did not get to go to college when he wanted to. He ended up going into the Air Force. He ended up going to the Air Force, and he did really great for him. But we have to understand, you have to have people who know how to navigate systems, navigate parents, navigate opportunities, navigate these things. And you're telling me now somebody who's just been doing what? Because I've been with teachers' aides. I've worked with people and they said, oh my God, I want to teach. And they start doing the work to become a teacher. Why are we not awarding people who've done the work? Why are we not turning around and saying, you know what, you've done this. This is awesome. We love you for it. Here's the money. Here it is. Here's a little bit, 30,000 to start a career educating your child. Educating your child, meaning that when you're gone for 8 hours out the day, this person is responsible for knowledge, a moral compass, confidence, foundational skills for not only you, because I could talk about Oklahoma again, baby. I've been there. 30 kids in a classroom. I remember my days in Oklahoma City. I remember my days in Tulsa. We're not going to play those games. And you're telling me that you want to be able to open the door so somebody who did not do any of the work did it, and you're saying this is the only way we have, this is the only choice we have. No, it is not. Reconfigure that budget. Like I said, I know how much money goes into you cannot have OU Sooners. You cannot do the things that you do with the Cowboys and OU Sooners. You can't have the Thunder. You cannot do the infrastructure that you did in Oklahoma City, with the downtown. Because I remember when Bricktown was nothing but the spaghetti warehouse factory. That was it. That was the only thing in Bricktown. I remember that. But no, we put in all this money to turn around and do this. And Oklahoma is one of them red states. In God we trust state. In fact, the national in what is it, the state newspaper, the Daily Oklahoma, which is a news entity, they put a Bible verse every day right there at the very top because they want you to know who we are. And you're telling me that you can't find no verse in there to turn around and make sure that your child is educated properly. But I bet you if you go to them private schools, oh, they ain't following them rules. Oh, here we go, let me go here. But yeah, I'm hot. So they talking about in Florida too. I know about Florida, and I said I've been so quiet, but Florida with that whole Florida, the troops to teachers program, really, really. And once again, but let's pay attention. You're still asking for some credentials here. I like them credentials because it's a hard thing to go through PTSD. And if you put the wrong child in front of the wrong person at the wrong time, I seen it. Oklahoma's, I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen it. I lived it, baby. My babies was gangster. I was working with gangstaliciousness for 32,000 a year. And let's go ahead and go with the money, right? The 32,000 a year. Right now, I kid you not. Let me put it right here. Right now, and this is what I do as a contract. I've got education stuff on my computer because I'm working past hours. This is a program I pay for out of my pocket in order to give my kids an interactive learning experience. You come out of pocket teaching. Like literally, you teach for the glory and love of teaching. That's what you do. You teach for the glory and love because there is no position that I know in any instance that I know that has to come out more money in order to make their job do what it's supposed to do. I'm talking about I'm buying spirals, I'm buying pencils, I'm buying scissors. It's not I'm supplementing. There's a difference. Let's say, oh, everybody comes in and you have this to start the year with. No, I'm buying every year in August. Walmart is filled with teachers figuring out what to do for their classrooms and how to take care of babies and everything else. So once again, you're talking about we did everything. I would give you this if you at least made sure the resources in the classroom were up to date and everything was good and doing all that stuff. But y'all don't even know about that the Title One or Title Nine funds that people don't spend, and they end up having to waste money at one point of the year because they turn around and they could have to spend that money before they get it snatched, but they're not allowed to spend it on certain things that actually help the school. It is the craziest thing ever. I'm sorry, I'm checking messages and I'm hot. Got it. So let me go ahead. This is absolutely insane. Like, there's no other way. I'm going to go back to the article. You can't justify it. And it's a slap in the face. And all them Oklahoma teachers should leave and go to Texas. I am telling you, I was teaching and it was a major fight. Come in. Ooh, thank you. It was a major fight with my family because I chose to leave to go to Texas and leave the family, but nobody could understand that I could do the same exact thing I was doing in Oklahoma for a $15,000 increase. And the one thing that we used to use to justify things, because I'm telling you, if this was 2008, 2009, think about the 2008 crash, is that when the economy went up, and that was my thing. It was one thing to be living in Oklahoma and it is just dirt poor and cheap. I did it. Okay. It's another thing that when everything was going up and when I end up going paying like what I paid for milk and all that stuff, what I recognized is you're keeping me on the same old salary that got people through the 80s and the 90s, but the economy costs more, cars cost more, everything costs more. Oh my gosh. Alternative certifications also. Let me go. All these babies are talking about being at a house with the parents. I understand homeschooling right here. Just with Drew Minds again, homeschooling and back on the way to Africa for this reason. I 127% understand. And I had always said, and I just have to be quiet now. I have always said that if I were going to have a child at this point, it would be homeschool. The child will be homeschooled. There is no way I can hand over my child to somebody else to make these decisions. And it's such a hard matrix and conundrum because This is a state legislature. Like this decision was made by people who are not in school systems. This was a state legislature problem in order to clear the teaching crisis. This was not the way you solved it. This is not the way. It saddens me that kids are going through these days. One needs to learn pedagogy and theory, not just subject matter. How do much you really know to stay out of high school? And even with the subject matter, there is a difference between understanding subject matter and being able to teach subject matter and learning like your different type of kids and all this other stuff. It is so much. Even as teachers, we have people who go through all of these certification programs and are still not good qualified teachers. How did you lower the bar that far? That far. Like, not that, once again, we will put you through an alternative certification program. Not that, okay, we'll do 5 years and such with a mentor teacher or anything. No, we just gonna take you off the top. But I'm gonna tell you where the problem is. The problem is in the country towns. Like I know my old towns. Teachers the only profession that is disrespected and disregarded. 30,000 for a professional certificate. Still, I'm paying on student loans. Like that's the other thing. Will do, Tonio. I got you. I got you. I got you. But I will, because this is the thing that really frustrates me. So we're now in legislation and you're fighting whatever you feel about Biden, whatever, you're fighting this legislation about letting us have a 10,000 off. Like that's a coupon. You're fighting us on getting a coupon off on our loans. You're fighting us saying, no, you should turn around and do this. And then you disrespect what is my loan worth? Like at one point I was like, okay, I have these school loans, but I'm in this position. I'm paying what I'm paying for. Now I'm like, run me my money back. Run me all of my money back. Run me my money back. If you cannot turn around and because that's one, you don't pay me what I'm worth. You don't pay me what I'm worth. Two, I'm paying you to be what I'm worth that you can't even rectify. Let's pay attention to that. But then three, my credentials are supposed to mean something. That means that when I walk into a room, this is the thing. If I walk into a room to interview for a job, it no longer matters my credentials to that person. And what you've done, and this is the other thing that you've done, and I noticed this because this is the game that y'all play with veteran teachers. Y'all will hire somebody new because a veteran teacher will be higher on your payroll. So a veteran teacher, I'm not going to Oklahoma. Let's just say, okay, if your starting salary is 30,000 and you have a teacher who has 20 years experience and you have a teacher with 0 years experience in the same grade as a fifth grade math position, right? Your teacher who has experience and everything else is going to cost you maybe 48,000. Your brand new teacher cost you 30,000 in the budget. I'm not freaking slow. I'm not freaking slow. So you have no respect for these things. You won't give people tenure. Well, some school places do. That's the whole union thing. But you just not. Mm-mm, mm-mm. So I do believe this is by design. I do believe that this is by design because there's so much that's happening when you talk about the economy and everything. And it's like the United States is, I said it, but I didn't say it, that they are ranked so low in the academia field. Right? That when we turn around and talk, there's so much by design. When you turn around and talk and everything, and when the states are taking their, not the states, the nations are taking their tests, we are like 19th. I can't remember the last time I've looked at this statistic, but we're like 19 out of 43 or whatever. We're not in a good position. Then you have the emergence, like I said, of this TikTok, YouTube brand where kids are like, oh my gosh, I'd rather do this. I'd rather entertain you and look like an influencer and make $1 million versus I'd rather learn these things. Like there's so much in the dumbing down of the United States. Like the fact that we have to sit here, like, I'll talk about this in a second. Herschel Walker should not even be running. And it's an insult to any Georgian for him to stand up and say, I want to represent the state. No, boo. No, no. Like, do you understand? We hold the person who makes the potato salad at the family function into a higher regard than this man. Like, because nobody can come in and be like, you know what? I've never done potato salad before, but I'm going to go ahead and do potato salad for the whole state of Georgia. And then we'd be like, no, even if you haven't done it, what's your credentials? Run that back. What did you use to put in potato salad? How did you make it? Who taught you? Who's your peoples? All that stuff. We will run that. But this man can get up and go where he is. And because this to me shows the ignorance and hatred you have for yourself to turn around and just put anybody up there to say that you did something instead of turning around and having some standards. I I'm sorry, even if I was racist like that, I would have such a high standard. Like, what happened to them? This low stand, like, no. Do you not realize that this man is still responsible for representing you? Man, whatever. He should not be able to be on that podium. He should not be that close to even being able to have a conversation. We should not be listening to this man and his werewolves and all this other stuff, whatever. So I was going into, oh God, I needed this moment. I gotta get ready to go. School is let me say this. I do love my career trajectory. School is a business. School is a business, and people don't realize who gets paid off of those businesses. And you really have to pay attention to the trends and the phases. And while school is a business, school is responsible for our children. So that does not clear up the fact of truth and not truth. But there's some things that we have to stop the line at and stop and say whatever. And if that is pulling your child out or whatever for homeschool and saying this is what I respect or anything else, like that's it. No, being in classrooms, whatever else like that. What I'm saying today is I'm not even giving you solutions. I am on a tangent vent because this makes no absolute sense. Let me get back to sharing the screen because, like I said, I am going to go and I'm hot and I'm livid because I don't know how to say like America's messing up. America's been messing up, but it's just like how low can you go? Like how low are they actually going to go? And this is absolutely crazy. This is absolute. Look at these salaries. And then what is it called? Oklahoma law loosening teaching requirements. This is mm-mm, mm-mm. And they're trying to frame it around, oh, we want to have doctors in, we want to have lawyers in, we have want to have. First of all, you might not like to teach elementary, you don't just have everybody. And then those people have degrees. Literally, they have degrees. Persons with distinguished qualifications in their field. What does that mean? You don't even have a definition of that. When it comes to determining those qualifications, the local boards of education. So, in a statement, OKCPS, that's Oklahoma City Public Schools. So they hold some of the same criteria points, but they look within 36 hours of completion of bachelor's degree instead. And I believe that was from substituting as well, because I remember at one point I couldn't substitute when I was in school until I showed them that I had so much on my transcript. We're not even going to talk about that. Do you know the hoops and hurdles you have to go through in order to get your transcripts and everything and all this other stuff notarized? It is absolutely ridiculous. Dude, okay, so the ideal scenario would involve having a certified teacher with a degree in education in every classroom across the district. However, OKCPS, like many other school districts in Oklahoma and around the country, experiencing a limited pool of potential teachers. OKCPS is grateful for the flexibility it allows it to hire an emergency certified adjunct teachers. In addition to adjunct teachers, we also have another initiatives in place to address the teacher shortage. Let me say this. Now, I have said this before, and you can laugh at me. You don't want to come up on the money. Cool. If you don't want to come up off the money, cool. Let me stop the screen so I can show you what I mean. Cool. If you don't want to come up off the money and pay me more, cool. Give me a coupon. 30% off when I go to Denny's or something. Like, give me credits. Give me tax credit. Give me something so that 30 can get stretched. Let me have me some Brahms. People in Oklahoma know about Brahms. Let me have me some Brahms. Let me be able to go to the dairy section. Let me go ahead and give me some welfare stamps. Let me go ahead and be able to get free gas on the second of every month. Let me go ahead and just give a player something. Give a player something. You know what? Let me go to high up and give me an extra pancake on my IHOP stack. Do something. Oh, let's get real. Let's at least, if I'm only going to give you 30,000, let's at least supply the classrooms so you don't have to come out of pocket. Let's at least do that. Let's at least open up some tax breaks or some charity breaks so people could actually do more for our kiddos instead we have to beg them and stuff like that. Let's do that. Let's spend more money on being able to bring in more people into the classroom. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and up the budget some so teachers can only work teachers' hours. And there's after school program that's able to do those things instead of you having to turn around and have to ask me to turn around and make more time and all this other stuff. But let's be creative and smart because none of y'all are educators and know how to turn around and make something work. Ask any educator in any hood, any city, school, whatever else like that. We know how to make it work, and y'all don't. You don't. And so that's what you decided to do was to turn around. Let me get back into this and bring down the teaching expectations. Y'all need to pray for y'all's children. Y'all's children is not growing up in the America that I knew about. This is not. Here we go. While Oklahoma do not require the college degree, state leaders says that doesn't mean that high school students are graduated and returning to the classrooms to teach. Yes, it does. Rep. Hilbert say they trust local school districts with employing adequate teaching tasks that you do not require to become teachers. That's it. You really just took the teaching word and just made it a word. You just made it a word. You no longer made it a profession. You just made it a word. If there were high schoolers, if there were high schools hiring 19-year-olds to come teach, they would be doing it at some point the last 31 years, and they haven't. So everyone wants to talk about these extreme examples that do not exist because if they did, we would have heard about them. No, you wouldn't if you're blind. I will say this. I'm going to give you this one story. I'm going to give you this one story. And this is a true story. Oklahoma is where I came back from Africa. I came back from Liberia and I had to teach in Oklahoma. And so I picked up a position, but because I was coming from Chicago, I had to do coursework, pay attention, in order to kind of get my certificate transferred over. Now, in doing that, I had to go to orientations. And so I remember that when I was there in August, I was really livid because like here it is, like I'm 8 years into teaching and I had to go into this orientation. So I just go to orientation, sign these papers, whatever like that. And we're in this class and we're in this classroom with about 50 people. I'm sitting in this classroom. I happen to know somebody at the board because Oklahoma, I knew people. And they were like, hey, we're trying to teach you about diversity in education and, stereotypes, all that other stuff. So I'm sitting there, I'm really being quiet because you understand at this point in time, I got my coursework down. I'm top level. I know education. And they turned around and said, hey, one of those questions, turn and talk to your neighbor. Why do you think there's so many black males in special education? Now, if you're in education, you know this is a hot topic. Like this is really serious because what happens is there's a high number of special of boys in special education for whatever reasons. That's a longer story. So they did. We turned talk to our neighbor, whatever. I was like somebody, and then turned out they were like anybody want to share out. White dude sitting 2 rows. Thank God he was not in the row next to me. Sitting 2 rows, raised his hand immediately. Like cool, and he's like, oh, that's because their brains are smaller. He said there are more black boys in special ed because black boys' brains are smaller. Well, of course, I raised my hand quick, high, and a hurry. And the person at the board was like looking for somebody else. I was like, no, I got this one. And of course, I answered it's because of the stereotypes that people have against black boys because they want black boys to sit down and follow their rules and expectation. And when they do not have engaging material or they have anything else, they rather classify that child with a learning disability or ADHD versus change the level of instruction or change the expectation. There is no need for the number. Like I went into my whole spiel, but what I recognize is that nobody else in that 50 room, whatever, was raising their hand but me. So even if you think he was wrong or not, nobody else, as a teacher, brand new teachers in this field, was standing up to say what you're saying is wrong. And you don't have to point the finger, you have to clear up the answer. Let me give you some clarity on things. So, once again, this is Oklahoma, promise to God, true story, that you're telling me that you now want to take those people out of that situation where you can try to clear up misunderstanding and just throw them into a classroom. Bye. All of the buys. All of the buys. All of the good buys. Y'all, like, Teaching is one of the biggest hazes. At this point in time, teaching is one of the biggest hazes. Teaching is one of the biggest hazes. Y'all have made us go through the fire, go up and down, pay this extra due, go around the corner, find this new curriculum. You have to learn it in the 2 weeks. You have to turn around and do this. Teaching is hazing. 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 And we on the burning sands. And now they too hot. I'll see y'all. I'll see y'all later.